Good day to you all. We're talking about dividing fractions today, and we're going to go to KFC. Well, not really. I wish we were. I'm kind of hungry myself. But we're going to go to KFC with our math today at least. In talking about dividing fractions, I like to follow a fairly simple three-step method called KFC. It's called keep it, flip it, change it. Other teachers may call it other things, but I like KFC because it sounds cool. So we're going to use that. So KFC stands for keep it, flip it, change it. Keep it, flip it, change it. What are we keeping? What are we flipping? What are we changing? Well, in a division fraction problem, for instance, 1/2 divided by 2/3, we would keep the first fraction the same. So we would keep it 1/2. We would flip the second fraction to its reciprocal. For instance, 2/3 turns into 3/2. And we would change the division sign to a multiplication sign. So in essence, we're multiplying by the reciprocal of the second fraction, if you want to think of it in an upper level sense. But basically, we're keeping it, flipping it, changing it. Let's take a look at an example or two, okay? This won't follow me this time. I know a few chuckles for that. And when we're going to try this KFC thing, we're going to divide 7/8 divided by 1/8. Well, if I'm going to keep the first fraction the same, I'm going to keep the 7/8 exactly the same. If I'm going to flip the second fraction, I'm going to turn it from 1/8 to what looks like 8/1. And I'm going to change the division sign to a multiplication sign. From there, I'm just going to multiply and simplify. I'm going to multiply 7 times 8 in my numerators, and I'm going to come up with 56. And I'm going to multiply 8 times 1, which is 8. When I look at that, I think of a division problem. I think of 56 divided by 8. And when I figure that out, I think it's going to be 7. Do you think it's going to be 7? I hope so. It is 7. 56 divided by 8 is 7. Now, if I were to simply try to reduce that fraction, 56 divided by 8, I might divide them both by 2 to start with because they're both even numbers, and I may have to keep doing that a number of times before I find my final answer. Overall, I will come up with 7 as my answer, and I encourage you to check that. If you have a calculator at your house, check that out. If you're at school, well, tough. What about 1/2 divided by 2/3? It's going to be solved the same exact way, and I'm going to break it down into a longer process. I'm going to follow these steps and work it through, not just show it in a shorthand fashion. So let's take a look at that really quick. 1/2 divided by 2/3, I'm going to keep the first fraction the same. So I'm going to keep 1/2 as it is. I'm going to bring the rest of the problem down so you can see just what's going on here. I'm going to flip that second fraction. Now, if I flip that second fraction, I'm going to turn it from 2/3 into its reciprocal, and it's going to turn into 3/2. So now my problem looks a little different. I have to change the division sign to a multiplication sign. So I'm going to write that as such. 1/2 times 3/2. I'm going to multiply now. 1 times 3 is, I hope you know that, 2 times 2, really? Takes that long? Okay. 3/4. Cannot be simplified. I hope not, because I can't figure it out myself if it can be. It is 3/4, it is simplified, leave it as it is. 3 and 4 have nothing in common, leave it alone. It is in simplest form. Okay, so as you can see from the examples, we have keeping the first fraction the same. We are flipping the second fraction. We're going to change multiplication to division to multiplication. Sorry, and we're going to do some simple multiplication. 7 times 8, 8 times 1, 1 times 3, 2 times 2. That's about it. It might get a little more complicated when we talk about mixed numbers, but I'll save that for a separate video. For now, try this out. Ask questions, take some notes. Talk to you later.